What's up, creative community? Once again, this is Lorenzo from the Coach MC Studio. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is the place where we'll help you to shape unique behavior deliveries and we will help you to get recognized in the audition room. In today's video, we're going to talk about our favorite movies and why they are our favorite movies and why it is important to have that type of canon for yourself, mapped out, piled up, written down, because you need to know what is your favorite movie, because you need to know what type of culture are you standing for, because you need to know where do you like to see yourself, because you need to know what inspires you, what moves you, and why you're here in the first place, because at some point in your life, you did see something that impacted you so much, that impressed you so hard, where you knew exactly, wow, this is magic, this is blowing me away, and I wish I could be a part of this, and this is exactly the movie that I'm talking about right now. So let's dive in today's video. Let's find out what my favorite movies are. I got a nice list of 10 movies and I'm gonna disclose each and every one of them and tell you also why they are my favorite movies, because it's part of the culture, because it's my vision, my view about entertainment industry, because that's also what I like to share the most with my clients, with my students, with all the people that are coming here in search for help, in search for, accumulating some critical mass. And this is an exchange. So let me know what your favorite movies are coming up. So let's see what's cooking. What is your favorite movie? It's a tough question, right? And it's not just a question about a movie. It's not a question about 90 minutes of entertainment. What is your favorite movie for real? Because when I'm talking about your favorite movie, I'm talking about the movie that you could watch over and over and over again. 3 o'clock in the morning, coming back from the party, you just want to watch something before you go to bed, or you feel kind of down and low, you're just going through like a rough patch, or it's Sunday, it's rainy, it's afternoon, you don't have anything to do, let's watch my favorite movie. Why is that important? Because you're standing in for something. You're standing for your culture. And the movie that you like the best, it kind of represents that culture. Remember when I recently asked you in one of my latest videos, like, what is the movie that you like to be in? What type of movie style do you like to be in? What type of movie star do you like to become? Where do you see yourself on the big screen? Because that's important too, What kind of animates you, inspires you, and kicks you out of bed, whatever, gets you into that mood where you like to be. Whether that's sorrowness or happiness, or where you just watch something that really kind of transcends your ideas, whatever that is. It is super, super important to have that list. And I got my list here ready for you guys. And I'm going to disclose it in a couple of seconds, but before that, make sure to subscribe to our beautiful endeavors here at the Coach MC Studio. Make sure to do that and join the creative community and shoot this video out there. Let this community grow. Let's get bigger, further, faster, and greater all together, right? So what is your favorite movie? And again, why is that so important? Because you have to defend something. You have to stand in for something. Because believe me or not, there are some movies that are almost homogeneously respected and venerated by pretty much everybody on this planet. But there are some movies where you might find like that there is a controversy going on about if this movie is great or not, about if the acting is great or not, about if the story is really great or not. And so your movie represents the storytelling process. Your movie represents the movies that you like to play as well, but also the movies where you kind of feel, being taken back in a way and feeling like being a kid again and just forget everything and just smile and just indulge with the magic, right? If you think about movies like E.T., right? Or the Goonies, right? Where you can just be like a kid just by watching it. It's like a theme park. It's beautiful. You can forget everything. Whenever you get into a clash, like a discussion or like, some sort of an argument about if the movie is great or not, you have to defend that movie, right? You have to come up with arguments. You have to come up with your point of view, with your perspective and why you like this movie so much. And by doing that, you get a notion about the craft, about what really interests you, about the industry, what kind of filmmaker, what kind of movie maker you are deep down inside of your soul, right? At your core. What does bring that smile back onto your face? Is it an old flick? Is it Charlie Chaplin? Is it sci-fi? Is it high visual effect and high impact and high voltage? Is it more something like a soliloquy, right? Something that is it's more intimate, where people talk a lot and where it's all about the story and the drama that unfolds. What is your favorite movie? And make a list, compile a list of at least 10 movies. Sit down with yourself and kind of ask yourself, what is really the movie that moves me? What is a movie that kicks in? What is a movie that always makes me think about life and certain aspects? And what is the movie that entertains me the most? And who is actually the actor? And all that, right? Ask yourself these questions. We take that for so granted because we talk about audition technique here on this channel. We talk a lot about your endeavors and your mindset and your creativity. We talk about all the ramifications of that initial culture, but that initial culture is the movie. So what is your favorite movie? I feel we don't talk enough about that. We should do that more often. Don't you think? Yes, you think. So let's get down with the list and see what my most favorite movies are and why they are my favorite movies. What can I get from these movies? And why do I think they are the greatest of all times? So let's start with the list. Let's grab this list. Sheet of paper. Remember that? It's paper. It's beautiful. Top movie. Number one movie. There's actually a chronology here. So I just really leaned out of the window here. My most favorite movie of all time. The one movie that I could watch over and over again. The movie that moves me. The movie that really inspires me. One of the greatest movies in terms of poetry, in terms of character development and storyline. To me personally, it's Kung Fu Panda. To me, it's a marvelous piece of storytelling. It is philosophical, it is deep, it is very entertaining, it is very telling. It is simple, it's not too complicated, it's not overly exaggerated. It has the right rhythm, it has the right pace. All the characters have their own story. All the characters have clashes. All the characters have some sort of conflict going on. The main character is super funny. We kind of love him. He's very likable. Po is a magnificent hero. The hero quest is displayed in such a sharp, clean, and well-executed way. It's almost scary. The nobody that becomes the ultimate warrior. The one that everybody was making fun of previously now is the most feared warrior of them all. The greatest guardian of justice and peace and law of the valley. The guy that was stumbling over his own feet and was not even able to execute like a straight punch now becomes almost undefeatable, unbeatable. Such a great development. Such a great transformation. The wishes are true. We understand the character from its ground on. It starts with a dream, which is always great because we're coming from his subconscious mind into the real life, into reality. Out of his dreams, out of his wishes, we get into the real world. So we know exactly about what he really likes to achieve. And then we see the clashes of belief systems and, the demands of daily life, of running a restaurant and getting along with his father and all that. All the problems, all the hustle, and all the beautiful victory that is well paced. The antagonist is very believable. He's very scary. He's truly powerful. He's a true antagonist. We understand his shortcomings. We understand why he went mad and why he's now claiming the glory and the power over the valley and why he wants to become the Dragon Warrior. We understand his sorrowness. Everything. This movie to me represents classical filmmaking at its highest peaks. Highest levels of quality. And there is so much poetry and so much depth and also so much fun and so much linguistical abilities and so much entertainment and mimical expressions. And even though the characters are animated, they feel real. They feel absolutely believable. And I understand each and every single mission of all the characters in this story. And no one comes too short, no one gets, sided by the story. Everybody, makes his contribution. Beautiful movie, to me, the greatest movie of all time. I can watch Kung Fu Panda all the time. And really kudos to DreamWorks, to Jack Black, to Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, Dustin Hoffman, all the beautiful characters that they interpreted, all the beautiful voices that they created. The chorus are resonating with the audience. I really love this flick. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen and will be forever my number one. Because in a way, the Kung Fu Panda inspired also, in a very crazy and wacky way, the Kung Fu Panda inspired also the Coach MC studio. But whenever we will reach to the ultimate fame and to success and we will become super powerful and magnificently rich, we will disclose that part of the story in our autobiography, right? You can download it then, like a PDF on my website for free and get the course as well. Well, let's get to the second movie. My personal number two is The Empire Strikes Back. Why? Because it's better than the first one, which is kind of rare that the second movie is better than the first one, actually. Because it's part of the original Star Wars galaxy universe that back then was still healthy and genuine and full of power, and it was magic to watch. I saw this movie at the theater when I was very little, and I was just sitting there. I was blown away by the initial sequence. The first scenes, the first couple of minutes were already incredible. The saga around Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Luke, I'm your father, all that happens in The Empire Strikes Back. It's a great movie because actually the bad part, the malevolent part of the story wins in the second installment of Star Wars. And so that is great too. It's not always the good side winning. There is no real happy end if you just, watch it from that technical aspect. There is so much to discover in this film. And it's an incredible movie. It's just packed with this primordial story of father and son and good and evil and making the right choices and being compassionate and believing in your mission and all that. And getting control over your life, over your self-esteem, over your powers, over your instruments. There is so much in there. I mean, it's not a sci-fi movie per se. It's a very mythological, primordial, very classical type of story, where finally the son wants to gain the power that he feels is just right to grasp in order to do good, right? And that is, of course, a very thin line, morally speaking, because you never know. You want to do something good, but then you have too much power and then you end up being evil. So there is this temptation in Luke Skywalker's heart that also Yoda is talking about. And also the cast and how they react to this development of the story. We're talking about incredible actors in an incredible storyline. The movie is edited in a magnificent way. It has one of the most beautiful scores of all time. It is action-packed, but it has also very tranquil, very deep moments. And there are a lot of surprises and twists. And ultimately, it is a story that could also stand for itself. It's a movie that could also stand for itself. I just love to see this flick over and over again. The attack on the ice planet in the beginning is still one of the greatest action sequences in sci-fi movies that I can think of, even though maybe like watching it right now, the tricks and some visual effects could be slightly better. We are now used to higher standards. But thinking about where this movie was created, how it was created, and when, it ranks up there, and it has an incredible storyline. There's so much drama, there are so many implications, there are so many conflicts, weaved into the story that whenever you're, maybe you're starting out with acting school, maybe you're starting out with the acting endeavor in itself, maybe you're thinking about great characters to play, and of course you're oriented towards the contemporary stuff or to the super classical old stuff. But here in the middle, in this shift in the 70s, 80s, where movies were still handmade, you can find this gem. It's called The Empire Strikes Back. It was directed by George Lucas, and it's part of the original Star Wars trilogy. Watch this movie because there you can feel the magic of movie making, this magic where stories can uplift you to. And if all the characters are so great with interacting with each other and so great in collaborating and participating and putting something of their own into this great basket that is called the film culture, then you have that experience that is so overwhelming. And I'm 45 years old and I'm still wondering where those great movie directors are that are able to blow us away in a way that George Lucas did, or Robert Zemeckis, or Francis Ford Coppola, or Stanley Kubrick, or Alfred Hitchcock. Where are those great new directors? Of course there are some great directors nowadays, but I feel like back in the days it was really about creating the magic. It wasn't about making money per se. The first and most consistent wish of those filmmakers was to really try something new, to risk something, to put all the people on the table, to put all the people that were best in their respective fields together to create something extraordinary. And that passion, that type of drive and consistency, I kind of miss that today. There are some pockets where I perceive that, where it kind of shines through sometimes, but not as consistently on such a high level like they did back in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and so on and so forth. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, the 90s were also super, super fruitful. And there were some absolutely stunning movies coming out in the 90s. And we have a great video about that. Make sure to check it out. It should be somewhere here, over there, where we talk about the consistent movie making in the 90s and how it kind of developed stories in a new way. Talking about Quentin Tarantino, talking about The Matrix, Wachowski brothers and all that, right? They came out in the 90s. So there's some great material also there. And on my all-time favorite list, there is a movies from the 90s, of course, as well. But like looking back at the golden age, you can find incredible movies. Empire Strikes Back is one of them. Check this movie out if you're new to the game, because there you have those primordial conflicts so well carved out of the story. There's so much to work on, and you can understand all the characters and all the players and where they're coming from in their perspective. And this is what, great acting is all about. So don't miss out on that one. And number 3, before I bore you with the rest of the movies, and then I'm just gonna list them so you understand exactly what I'm trying to give you here today. Number 3 on this list is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly by Sergio Leone. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is a 4-hour movie. It's a Western from the 60s, and it's one of the greatest flicks of all time. There is Clint Eastwood, there is Lee Van Cleef, and there is Eli Wallach, and just a bunch of other incredible actors. And what this movie does to you, from the first moment on, it has a magnetic, almost hypnotic type of appeal to it. You can't really take your eyes off the screen anymore. You're kind of smashed back into time when there was civil war going on in the United States, and all these conflicts, all these interests of so many different people, and everybody was looking for his own cut. Everybody was following his own agenda. It was a crazy, very turbulent time, very chaotic, full of bloodshed, full of war crimes, full of people defecting and running all over the place, and so many different belief systems clashing against each other. We're coming out of slavery. The new republic was still a bit shaky. The conflict between North and South, between the old regime, the old power, the old money, and the new power, the new conquest, going towards West and searching for the ultimate, El Dorado, for luck, for fortune, and kind of finding your own niche in this craziness. And all these characters, they intersect with each other. They have a common history. They know each other, but they are, going down very different paths and ways, and they're all searching for something else in the end, and they all try to, to succeed with that. And it's just an amazing movie. It's just an incredible setup. And the end scene of that film, that there is this final scene, the finale of this great climax of this almost 4-hour movie, where you have this standoff where, dueling against each other, 3 people ready to shoot at each other, and you don't know who's gonna survive, who's gonna live, who's gonna get wounded, and how the story eventually will end up. Anything is possible at that moment. So you just watch these crazy characters through this incredible story, and at the end it's again them 3, the cemetery, standing against each other, looking each other into their eyes, and really every character is trying to understand who the weaker one is and who's letting down his guard first. And there is so much suspense, so much drama, so much beautiful close-ups and in that scene. And it's really, you can literally feel the tension on your skin when you're watching this finale, and the whole movie gets you just to this one moment in the movie, in the film, where actually nobody's speaking anymore. And I think the Sergio Leone close-up, where just the eyes are visible and stacked upon each other, I think that comes from that movie, and it was used millions of times from other filmmakers all over the world. Tonino del Colle, that was the DOP back in the days for Sergio Leone. These guys, they invented this, right? They created this new shot for this movie that then became legendary and was used over and over again. It's still in usage today. It's a classical, timeless movie. It's almost like a samurai movie. And we're also talking about some very deep-rooted characters that you can always find. So when you study this movie, you are studying hundreds of movies at the same time, because these characters, you will stumble across them and upon them, every time you will go to an audition, because there is something about these characters that is so timeless, so deep in their core, that you can always kind of relate to them, and you will always find glimpses and shrapnels of those characters in all the plays and all the great movies, even in the contemporary ones. So studying this movie is like studying classical music. You get a key to big chunk of what filmmaking and movie making is all about. You get a key to the architecture of constructing a great scene. You get a key of what the character should actually be about and how transparent and honest a character in a movie can be. You get a key of understanding all these fundamental principles of filmmaking, of character building, of storytelling, and of creating that suspense, that tension, and that beautiful vibe that you can feel, that grain that you can see is so real. And it was shot on film, on real film. So it has a taste to it that is absolutely not, can't replicate that. There is no digital medium that can create that type of magic, that type of grain, that type of indulgence for the eye. And the sound, of course, by Ennio Morricone is absolutely legendary. Just the editing and how everybody is playing and the setup, props, department, everything is just marvelous about this legendary flick. It's an epic cult classic about the Western period of the United States, shot by an Italian director. I highly suggest you to check out this movie. This is my top 3 list. If I would meet a genie today, coming out of Aladdin's lamp after rubbing Aladdin's lamp like strongly and fulfillingly, and that blue genie would pop out of that blue smoke and thunders and lightning going on, and then he would smile and laugh with Robin Williams' voice, and then he would tell me like, I grant you 3 movies that you can take on a deserted island. What kind of movies would that be, right? That would be my top 3 list that I just told you. If I can pick some other movies, I would pick 7 other movies that I would definitely take on the island if the genie is willing to kind of fulfill and grant me that wish as well. Let's see. Number 4 is The Matrix. Incredible movie, incredible storytelling, incredible effects, incredible acting. Everybody's doing the right thing. Very vivid, very severe and sincere story. And there is this great twist in the end. Just a magnificent movie. One of the best movies of all time. I got Unforgiven as number 5 by Clint Eastwood. Another classic Western type of movie. I love this movie. It's all about, realizing what life is all about. And still, trying to make it somehow. Still trying to fight for something, even though everything seems lost. Beautiful message, great movie. Number 6 would be Back to the Future by Robert Zemeckis, with the incredible Michael J. Fox and the overwhelming great Christopher Lloyd. And, this movie is just a masterpiece. It's just a masterclass about everything. How to write a funny, compelling, genuine, believable, dramatic, classic type of story with so many twists and so many incredible little twists and turns. Watch the movie. Number 7 would be Lolita by Stanley Kubrick. Lolita it's just a little psychological masterclass. So many different things going on in that film. It's black and white. It's Peter Sellers. It's great, 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 great acting. A very dark and obsessive and passionate story. You need to watch that film. You need to watch each and every film of Stanley Kubrick. But that film, probably you should watch first. Because it's Peter Sellers at its peak, at its best. It's just incredible what he does. He plays 6 different characters in one film, and everybody seems different. Everybody has his own story. Everybody's believable. And what he does in the end, it's just a fantastic film. I just love it. Pink Panther, again, with Peter Sellers by Blake Edwards, directed by the late and great Blake Edwards. Great film. Super fun to watch. Rhythm, timing-wise, where everything needs to be said so precisely and needs to be done, and it's comedy, and comedy lives off velocity, of speed, of the right rhythm. And if you just misplace something, even if that's just a single little line, the whole scene kind of throws you off, because it's just not credible anymore. And here you have many movies, the Pink Panther installment. I think there are 5 movies, 4 or 5 movies. They all were very successful, and Peter Sellers, is just an amazing actor. What can I say? He's the funniest actor of all times, right? Number 9 is Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick again. What can I say? It's groundbreaking. It's shaking you up. It's disturbing you. It's taking you places you probably don't want to go in your psyche, and you think about and evaluate things you shouldn't evaluate. But that's exactly the power of great movies. That's what great movies are made for. They shake up your core, your fundaments. It's about passion, it's about lust, about sex, about things that are actually forbidden and where the boundaries are. And how this film comes together also in terms of cast and how they display the city and how we're sometimes, rebels without a cause, lost in this great environment called city in the metropolis where everybody loses his identity, everybody is anonymous, so everybody tries to fight for some recognition, for some fame, for something. Everybody's aspiring to become important, to become somebody, even if that's like diving into, the sea of madness like it is happening in this flick. The editing is incredible. Photography is just amazing. Stanley is the highest master of its craft. He's the best director ever. He's the number one. So watch all of his movies. They are just so great, so telling, so powerful. There are so much real messages, not just noise, not just, some little flinkers here and there. There is a lot of consistent storytelling, a lot of subliminal, subconscious storytelling going on, the way things are placed, the symmetry, the photography, how it kind of underlines the concept of psychology and what the psychology is dealing with and how you kind of get impacted with and who you should root for when it really comes down to understanding good and evil. If evil is good or good is evil, and kind of how ambiguous that line is, that thin red line of sanity and insanity, right? There is no better movie that demonstrates and illustrates this. So, watch this film. Number 9, all-time best. Number 10, all-time best on this very short list is 8.5 by Federico Fellini. Again, it's a psychological movie. It's about the inner world. It's about, again, temptations and obsessions. And again, it's about who you really are. If you are anonymous in this world, if you're an individual, if you really have character and what you're attracted to, it defines you also in a way. So if we stop craving for the things that are attracting us, if we stop chasing the things that are attracting to us and we start thinking about what really serves us and what our soul actually needs and where we really find our place in this world and what kind of things in terms of what kind of chains and shackles we need to get off our system to really blossom up and to really be ourselves, right? And that kind of identification through the main character's eyes with his world that is surrounding him and how the world reacts to him, but what he's finally actually searching for and what he's actually searching for in his life. All these clashes in that film, shot in black and white by the great Federico Fellini, interpreted by Marcello Mastroianni. This introspection of psychology, this way of illustrating it like it's almost a theater play in southern Italy, right? Where everything kind of comes together and everybody laughs. And all these moments of sorrowness, of darkness, and of happiness coming and going, and all these incredible oscillations in this film while telling the story of this very famous but very lonely man, just magnificent. And Federico Fellini, I think he's at its best in this incredible feature. So make sure to check that out too. Lord of the Rings.
You forgot it.
No,
Yes!
It's only one of the best movies of all time for me personally.
No, you forgot it.
I forgot it. It's true. I'm sorry, Gandalf. I'm sorry, Peter Jackson. I'm sorry, Tolkien. I'm sorry, Professor. Lord of the Rings is like Star Wars for me. It's just something that belongs to me culturally, that kind of inspired me the first moment I got in touch with this material. And I will never leave this type of concept and that philosophy and that truth that lies underneath Tolkien's work and underneath the original work of George Lucas in combination with Joseph Campbell, of course. These pillars of my entertainment industry icons, right? They will never vanish. They will never crumble. They will never fall. They will always stand in front of the temple. This is my 10 movies list. You should watch these movies and you should tell me what your favorite movies are. Let's exchange. Let's fight. Let's debate. Let's argue about this. Let's talk. Let's dive into the culture, right? We talk about showing and creating and nailing the audition and having success and all that. But that comes from that initial spark that we all felt as little kids in the movie theater, just sitting down for the very first time with our dad, with our moms, with our friends maybe, and just sitting there. I remember watching Stand By Me at the theater when I was little, and I was so impressed. I was so much sucked into that world. And everybody was so great in that movie. And the soundtrack was just incredible. Probably one of the best scores of all time, right? Stand By Me. And feeling like a kid and running away from the train and kind of solving the mystery of the dead body. Overcoming also inner demons by fighting off the bully of the town, Kiefer Sutherland. You know, that movie's also packed with a lot of classical fundamental principles that you will always find in any great screenplay. So watch out for these movies, compile your own list, shoot it out there, subscribe to our beautiful endeavors here, and you know, activate the bell, ding, so you get notified every time we grind out a new video. Also follow me on Instagram, it's thecoachmc. Send me a nice email, write me something nice on thecoachmc.studio if you got any inquiries, any comments, any remarks. If you want to start your own adventure in the acting field, maybe you want to do something for your show reel, step up your audition game. Maybe there's like a monologue that you want to tape and you need some insights, you need some help with that. I'm your man, just let me know what kind of mission you got in mind and let's start working. If there's anything else I like to mention, that we're also on TikTok. With our TikTok's acting tactics, we kind of, give out some more condensed, more fun instruments and techniques, a little bit more fun to watch maybe, and there's some great content there too, so make sure to subscribe to my content and follow me on TikTok as well. Instagram I just mentioned, Facebook, LinkedIn, DM me, send me an email. You're amazing. Thank you so much, creative community, for supporting our channel, for always being there. See you soon, and now you're ready to watch a great movie.